Hello and welcome to another episode of Nukes of Hazard. I'm Sarah Bradley.
I'm Mike Bradley.
Rob Whalen, Susanna's not here tonight. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah, we're only half as pretty tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So,
big letdown.
we will miss Susanna tonight, but thanks for coming to another great episode. We have local flavor today. We want to talk about a specific fuel company. Then we want to talk about national with the Department of Energy and what they've got going on. And then we'll finish up with an international story and what's going on with Russia and Kazakhstan. So
for all
Yeah.
you Borat
for all
fans,
you Borat fans, it's
do
gonna
people
be
watch
very
Borat
nice.
anymore? Like, I don't even know if that's a thing. So,
Very
If we're lucky, it's been scrubbed from the internet so that it's completely.
it was not very politically correct.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, all right, let's dive in. So, Rob, why don't we hand it to you? TRISO fuel?
Yeah.
TRISO.
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 TRISO fuel. So this is one of my favorite guys on Nuclear X DA sales. We're going to try to get him on the show one day. Um, he's a prolific kind of insider. He is always posting the most interesting updates, and he combs the documentation everywhere. And he's always finding interesting things. Anyway, he got a tour of Standard Nuclear, which is a new company that wants to, among other things, manufacture TRISO fuel. We'll get into that in a second. Standard Nuclear. What I love about, I mean, just look at the branding on this.
oh man, that's
They're
awesome.
sort of following this trend I'm seeing with we'll call it American dynamism and new companies that are like American manufacturing and infrastructure, and they're giving them like kind of basic names that uh, are far cry from like, oh, my company's called Bitly or something cute. They're naming their companies to say like we're gonna be around for a long time. Anyway, Oak Ridge, Tennessee, Standard Nuclear is gonna manufacture TRISO fuel. Okay, what is TRISO fuel? TRISO fuel stands for tristructural isotropic, and it starts off as basically a bit of uranium that's the size of a poppy seed. It's very small. Then they wrap it in a few other layers, and it's basically they take a bucket of these things full of pebbles and dump it into the bottom of a reactor, and then they run the moderator over it, cool, water or whatever it is, and this fuel cannot melt down because the TRISO fuel, the layers that are around it, prevent meltdown. It is itself a containment around the fuel. So it's sort of an extreme like engineering, like let's take engineering to the end game of instead of building a containment around the entire reactor vessel where a lot of stuff can happen in between the fuel and the wall, they're saying let's just wrap the fuel in the containment. So
And
it's a very advanced thing. It's also highly enriched, meaning it's up to 20%. It starts as HALEU, high assay, low,
uranium,
low enriched uranium. So
yeah.
up to 20% enriched. Most of the uranium we use in our reactor plants is like 3 to 5% enriched. This goes up to 20%. So extremely safe. That's part of the trend that we're seeing of these new reactor designs of really getting cutting edge about safety. What's the challenge here? It's the supply chain because number one, you need HALEU fuel, and we're not manufacturing that in the United States just yet. There's a couple of players who are getting into that game, and I do think over the long run they'll have plenty of business. But right now it's hard to make. Um, and then the second step, of course, is wrapping those little pebbles in the materials that they're proposing. So anyway, the supply chain is going to be tricky, but Standard Nuclear is saying we're going to do it. They're really playing the long game. I'm excited about it. And there is demand for TRISO fuel out there because there's a variety of SMR designers who are like, we want this fuel. It's super safe. Dump it into a big bucket, run our moderator over it. I hope that's how it works. Hopefully I'm not, leading you astray. but it's like utterly safe. You can imagine that, okay, if there's an earthquake or shaking or something like that, the fuel just kind of rolls around. It's not going to melt down like you would sort of be concerned about with a traditional light water reactor. So pretty awesome. Here's an interesting point about TRISO fuel. The US government has a small supply somewhere, the Department of Energy. And that it's not enough to like build a reactor that creates heat, but it's been manufactured and the DOE knows how to do it. It just hasn't been commercialized. So idea's been around for a very long time. Standard Nuclear wants to build it. There may be others to do it, but according to this article, I'll reread it. Um, Oak Ridge, Tennessee, uh, they've got a Department of Energy authorization, which is the first of its kind, and they're actively building TRISO fuel. Um, and according to this post by my guy, DA Sales, they are encouraged by all the the excitement and urgency around this July 4th criticality contest. I don't think they're part of it, but they're just saying, look, the time is now, the momentum's building, let's build this stuff. What do you think,
Okay,
team?
I'm running this through my head here. So comparing it to the light water reactors that we worked on and that we were used to talking about. So the the reactor vessel held everything, and then you had shielding and everything outside that, and then you had the moderator in there, and I guess the rods were the equivalent of the wrapping of these little pellets, I guess.
Yeah, I like that. So the fuel rods themselves was just uranium, and it's just this big long stick, a skinny stick. The control rods had a material that would absorb the neutrons. You move those up and down, and you either absorb more or fewer neutrons.
Yeah,
Um, and then there was cladding, there was the moderator, the moderator bounced neutrons back in. So
yeah.
there's a lot of different things that do it, and this TRISO fuel does kind of a lot of it, a lot of all that. So basically, what that means is fewer moving parts for a
Yeah,
reactor that uses it, and that's very
yeah,
attractive.
no. And it's cool that it's it's we have proved the concept prior, so it's not something that they well, it's not like I don't know how that would work with the NRC. Where's John Greaves when we need him? Ask him like how that would like if the government got that approved and whatever already. Um, but hopefully that would speed up the process. But that's super neat.
It's so, Rob, I
Yeah.
really like what you're saying here. Really safe. That's a theme we keep coming back to in this podcast. The misconceptions of nuclear energy, and if this could be, a really safe answer to some of that, that could help accelerate things quicker. Also in this, so
Yeah.
I think that's something for people to keep in mind as they're thinking about this. Speaking of the Department of Energy, if we
Well,
want to,
well, I was going to mention one thing that Rob might find interesting, and maybe our viewers as well. So we have a family friend. He just finished his sophomore year at West Point, and he's a nuclear engineering major, and he's interning at Oak Ridge this summer as
Huh.
one of his. So he's a cadet or cadet, whatever they call those West Pointers. But he's down there, and I'm like, can you think of a better place to be just hanging around? And like Oak Ridge has so much stuff going on there between the government stuff, the private stuff, and whatever, and it's cool that West Point's giving it. I mean, he's killing it at West Point academically, and he's like their prize nuclear engineering undergrad as a sophomore. But yeah, as far as places to do, 6 weeks, I think Oak Ridge had to be pretty high up on the list right now.
So yeah, I mean, it's interesting that he's studying nuclear engineering in the Army. That's what. Uh,
Because the Army, they
um,
haven't really figured out the nuclear like we
yeah,
did.
but with Project Janus, they're saying we're gonna thank you for your service, Navy, but we're going to put small modular reactors and micro reactors on Army bases.
Yeah.
There is some talk I've seen of taking the submarine reactors and using those as small modular. Like I'm actually, I don't know why that hasn't been discussed more, but
Yeah.
maybe they're just hyper focused on thing. But yeah, the Army is really getting in the game here. It's pretty
Well,
exciting.
they had nuclear engineering as an undergraduate major at West Points before they did at the Naval Academy, so which is kind of
Huh.
crazy. Yeah.
Okay, before we move on, shout out to DA_SAILS, right?
DA
DA
Sales,
Sales
Twitter friend.
is your friend for information in case others listening to this want to
Maybe we'll throw him in
follow.
his link in the show notes. So
Okay.
good
All
deal.
right, sounds good. Let's move on. Department of
Yeah.
Energy um, is throwing a bunch of uranium around to some
Yeah.
companies. Let's talk about this. What is this all
Yeah.
All
about?
right, Sarah, say that 5 times fast.
She's like,
President
no, I won't do
picks
that. Um,
potential partners for plutonium.
President picks potential partners for plutonium. President picks potential partners for plutonium. So the president, or the U.S. government, has picked 5 companies, Oklo being one that Rob has the article up there, to get a surplus of plutonium under the Surplus Plutonium Utilization Program. It would have been so much cooler if the acronym was SUP, like
yeah,
SUPP.
come on,
Instead of
guys. Yeah,
come on, like just switch those words around.
it's easy.
Anyways, so there's 61. I keep wanting to say megatons, metric tons of weapons grade plutonium that they're giving these 5 startup companies to. One of them, Standard Nuclear, that we just referenced in a prior story, and the companies have different plans for how they're going to take this weapons grade plutonium that might not be the most pure, so there might be some things that they need to get, and then they have to put it into a usable state for their reactors. And
Yeah,
I mean, another way our government in the DOE has been shown to support nuclear energy, and but yeah, so it's a pretty cool concept. I mean, I would assume that we have a lot of these kind of like different from weapons programs. Rob and I were on ballistic missile submarines that used I don't even know if we knew what type of material, but there were
yeah,
there were warheads on our boat. There may or may not have been the presence of warheads on our submarines that might have used something like this. And no, so it's cool that the government is allowing this to take place, and probably
yeah,
more proof of concept. So I don't know. So Rob and I were
yeah. I
trying to
mean,
do a little chemistry on our plutonium to uranium, and yeah. But go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we it's been a minute since we've looked at the cross section of absorption and what was it like? Basically, the fissile
Yeah.
ability of these materials, but um, there's a few things to point out here. So plutonium, yes, can be used for nuclear weapons. And back to what we were talking about with TRISO fuel. TRISO fuel has to be highly enriched, meaning up to 20%. What happens if you enrich uranium above 20%? Now it's considered weapons grade, and the government has their hands on it. So this plutonium, is it might be weapons grade. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to look into it, but basically the government has it. Uh, it is not doing anything. It's extra, but plutonium is, I believe, more fissile than uranium, meaning you throw a neutron at at plutonium, and you have a higher likelihood of the plutonium fissioning, splitting, and releasing energy. So it's pretty delicate stuff, and which is why the government kind of controls it. What Oklo is proposing, and we've talked about Oklo a few times, is let's take this plutonium. There's gobs of of this stuff sitting around the United States, is what they're saying. Let's use it for fuel. If it's hard to get uranium and fuel for our reactors, let's use the stuff we already have. So they want to team up with this company from France. Nuclear is in France, and France is 80% nuclear powered. They've got lots and lots of experience there. They're going to partner up. and um, process this plutonium into usable fuel for small modular reactors. What's the final form going to be? I'm not totally sure. They're not converting the plutonium into uranium. They're going to use the plutonium for fuel. And if
So
I'm not mistaken, France does this kind of stuff a lot. They have some percentage of their operating reactors that uses spent fuel to operate, kind of a secondary type reactor.
yeah, I
Um,
got another acronym for you, Rob. So the plutonium will be either downblended or diluted, forming MOX, mixed oxide fuel. So,
that's
so
right.
mixed oxide fuel is plutonium mixed with some depleted uranium or low octane uranium to form this MOX, which basically lowers the strength down from weapons grade to a usable product. And I guess this Niclu, the French company, to make these MOX fuel pellets. So yeah, no, super cool. Like thinking outside the box stuff. So wonder, did the companies approach the government about this, or have they all been pestering the government like, hey, what are you going to do with that plutonium? What are you going to do with that
Right.
plutonium? Like, your kids
Yeah.
when there's like, what are you going to do with, the new whatever? And you guys just wait a second, okay? But
Speaking
It
from
sounds like
experience.
Christmas morning. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Christmas morning. Yeah.
Well, lots of innovation in the news. Let's move on. What's going on globally with Kazakhstan and
Yeah.
Russia? What's going on
This
with
is
those
wild.
two?
This is a great find. I kind of like this because this is the theme today is supply chain, who's doing nuclear. Um, Kazakhstan is swimming in uranium. It's swimming in oil. It doesn't have a single nuclear power plant. They just export all their uranium. They actually produce a ton of power from coal. Um, But they said, hey, Russia, specifically your nuclear company, Rosatom, will you build us a reactor using our uranium? Russia said, yeah, sure, let's do it. And Russia said, I'm actually going to finance most of it. So check this out. Um, Russia's going to, I guess, give a loan to Kazakhstan and say, like, here's our loan to pay us to build a reactor, and you pay us back over time. And the idea here is kind of supporting the Kazakh infrastructure and diversifying their energy sources. Um, I think it's interesting because, again, uh, Russia uh, is or used to be kind of the big uranium enricher that we depended upon for a long time. Now we're trying to get away from that, and now they're saying, well, let's get some more business in the area. And Kazakhstan's got all the uranium, so let's just build it there. Um, Kind of excited about it.
no, that's super cool. Yeah, I wish they weren't Russia's main ally, and I wish it was kind of a little more. But what are you gonna? Wonder if I don't know my Eastern European or former Soviet. Does Kazakhstan and Ukraine get along? Like,
I mean, yeah, it makes you wonder. I mean, and I think we talked about this a few episodes ago. This is sort of the Russia and China playbook of let's create dependency on some less powerful country by giving them a loan. Here's, $10 billion. Use that loan to pay our company to build you a reactor. And now you're dependent upon us for the next 20, 30 years, and we have some sort of cash flow coming from you. So it's a geopolitical type effort that now Rosatom is a state company. It's not like Oklo or any of the companies we have here in the United States where the government does not have a stake in it. Rosatom kind of has to do what the company or the country says. So uh, it's a geopolitical thing. That's the way we need to look at it. And the fact that it's nuclear and the price tag is so big, to me, underscores kind of the growing importance of nuclear worldwide. Everyone sees that we need it, and
Mhm.
we'll be interested to see how this goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We'll definitely need to keep an eye on this one. So finally, where in the world is Mike Bradley? Mike, you've been traveling all over the place. Quickly, you want to either share where you've been or where you're going to be for some of the listeners who want to catch up with you?
Yeah, no, since we've last spoke, I did do a trip over to Naples to the watch floor over there. Met with some nukes over in Naples, and their life is very interesting right now with what's going on in the Middle East. But I had
Mm.
some really good conversations, and then I've been to DC, Annapolis, Norfolk since then, and then next week I'm going to do my quote New England trip, starting at Portsmouth for the shipyard. My old buddy just took over a squadron there, Commodore Poplawski. They have a whole
Ooh.
they have a whole squadron in Commodore in a Commodore sitting in Portsmouth for the shipyards now, Rob. That's kind of a new thing.
Mm.
And then I stop in Boston to see all the nukes that are in Boston. Normally the ones at HBS and stuff, and then New London for a couple of days, and then Saratoga, and then back home. So
Ooh.
and then yeah, so going to see go see some visit some nukes. So.
So when you go visit the nukes, what do you do with them? Are you talking up nuclear power? Are you talking them up on
No,
grad
I mean, well,
school?
data centers, nuclear power are
Yeah.
they're kind of the thing now, but they're still the interest in all kinds of industries, big tech, space, graduate school. We had a nuke just get into med school recently.
Mm.
Have another nuke emailing me from Guam about talking to our resident Dr. John Emery about applying to med school, nukes applying to law school. No, they're nukes are still doing all kinds of stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, so they're impressive. I don't think we could get in now, Rob. I think we would have.
No,
They would have made us close. You know, we would have been.
All right.
We've been
be
Okay.
the
swatted to
worst.
death.
Yeah. Oh, I don't
Yeah.
even want to think about it. It's brutal. Just kidding. I've met many fantastic SWOs, and if they come out with their souls
This is not an
intact, they're even
anti-SWO
better.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say this about data centers. So um, I learned recently two interesting facts. So Virginia was data center alley,
Yes.
and part of that was kicked off by Amazon Web Services building all their data centers there. Um, and now Dallas has overtaken all of Virginia, the Dallas area.
Wow.
Um, and now this could be just like applications for data centers. Not all of them will be built, but there's just a lot of land in Texas. So a lot of it's happening inside Texas. This is a little Texas propaganda for everybody. I'm in Austin. Um, Now, will there be enough electricity to support the data centers? I attended a talk by a guy named Chris Powers, who is a real estate investor in Texas, and he specifically invests in infrastructure, like industrial real estate, for which you need a lot of electricity. And he said that the ERCOT grid, so that's the Texas grid, it's called ERCOT, at its peak capacity with nuclear, solar, gas, everything else, wind, it's 110 gigawatts per day. There's 10 days of the year, it's 110 gigawatts. That's 50 mega reactors, okay? Um, in terms of applications to get onto the grid, to draw more electricity and to add electricity to the grid, there are right now 400 gigawatts of requests. So that's 4x what the entire grid can do on its max day. And then he said, well, even if half of those are bogus or 75% don't get built, that's still 100 gigawatts, doubling the capacity. So gives you a sense that not all that is data centers. It's like manufacturing, it's houses, cities are growing. So did I mention I'm doing some Texas propaganda? We're growing fast here. So if you're a nuke and you're looking for kind of a career change, where to insert yourself, something in energy is going to last you a real long time. So take a
Yeah.
good look.
Yeah.
And Mike's
It's a
your guy.
hot tip. Good tip to end on today. So Thanks, Rob, for your brilliance as always. Mike Bradley, great work. We're Nukes of Hazard. Make sure that you like and subscribe below, and thanks for listening today.
Thank you.
All
We'll see
righty.
y'all next time.